كل عام وأنتم بخير. We have today brother Abdul Wahab AB Al-Siraj, and we also have our sister Tibian Muhammad to introduce brother AB.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tibian Muhammad. Ramadan Kareem. And I hope that you guys all have a good last 10 days of Ramadan. I am introducing to you today Abdul Wahab Al-Siraj. He is a results coach, a mentor, an influencer, a motivational speaker, as well as a leader. He has been in the mental health field for over 12 years. He is one of the top 3 life coaches in Northern Virginia. He is also the founder and the owner of I Will Coaching, which is a global life coaching agency that specializes in relationship, life, in relationship and lifestyle coaching.
Well, thank you so much, Tibian, and thank you guys for having me again today. Definitely a pleasure to be with you. And inshallah, today's workshop, we wanted to do it reference to staying positive, which is actually one of my dearest topics to do. SubhanAllah, I think we're surrounded by so many negativity in our lives. I mean, and now this whole COVID-19 kicked in, and just to add an additional layer, to be honest with you, in so many different negative ways. Talking to a lot of the youth and talking to a lot of parents during these rough times, the question came about, how do we stay positive throughout? So inshallah, we're going to dive into it. The way we'll do it is, I do have some, few points that I wanted to address, I want to talk about. And then I think towards the end of it, we'll probably, take some questions here. If anyone have any questions, we'll be able to jump in and answer those questions as they come. So it's interesting, and I think it's a lot, easier said than done when you think about it. Just the expectation for us to stay positive all the time. I mean, this is something that we have our days. We're not getting what we want at some point. We're asked to stay home. We lose a job. We have a breakup. We have some rough time with friends and things like that. And then just that overall thought from everyone around us would tell us to just be positive, things will just work itself out. Stay positive, things will work out. So, there's a few points I wanted to address before we get to that point, but we will definitely dive into, how do we stay positive? How do we get that energy? How do we lift ourselves up where we see the positive in everything we do in life? And so, inshallah, we're going to talk about 12 different points as far as how we going to, inshallah, accomplish this. So the number one, I think, piece into it, which is the intention piece, at some point, I think making an effort to find positive side of everything. I want you guys to think of life in general as just choices that we're making on a daily basis. You have a choice to make. You woke up this morning, you decided to, to shower, to brush your teeth, to pray a couple of rak'ahs, to go to, sahur, to spend some time with the family, to read some Quran, to go in or to go back to sleep. You decided to go out on a walk, or you decided not to do so. You decided to, watch some TV or watch some, play some video games. These are the choices that we're making on our day-to-day. So at some point, if you start to think of life from a sense of just a bunch of choices that we are, have control as far as making a decision, you start to look at life from a different perspective. Everything is a choice. Everything we do in life is a choice, and to be honest with you, when you start to think about it, there are some positive choices that we're making, and there's some, choices that I think we can learn from. And it's just to keep that in mind. So there's positive, and then there's ones that we can actually we can learn from. So, so when you think about it from that sense, start to make choices and start to look into the positive side of every choice that we're making. That will give you, that hope that you're looking for, that you are in control and that you are making those specific steps to take that positive choice that you're making. So making an effort to find the positive side in everything, again, that's a choice, right? So you choose to stay home and lay down in bed and not to do anything, or you choose to get up and start to look at things from a positive perspective. We can't control everything that happened, to you, but you can control how do you respond to it, right? So you do have a choice as far as your responses to whatever that is that happens to you in life. It's up to you, to look at the right side of, like I said, to the brighter side. So one of the advices that I'll probably ask people, to do once you start to, to find yourself in a situation where you have to make a choice, write the choice down, break it down into pieces. And then from there, start to look into it from a sense of like, all right, I have a choice. Do I look at it from a positive perspective, or do I look at it from a negative perspective? And you determine that choice, right? So let me just give you guys an example. Today was the 24th, 25th of Ramadan. So you're sitting here, and some of us, hey, we had some plans before Ramadan to say to finish Ramadan, to pray more, to do more, to give more, to spend more, time as far as emphasizing and improving the spirituality concept of things. Today's the 24th, 25th, and we're sitting down saying to ourselves, what did we do? Right? I mean, like some of us are not happy, some of us are happy with the progress, and some of us are not happy with the progress that we made. But one thing we can do, and we talk about choices, that we have a choice to make. You can say, you know what, I make a choice today. I make a chance today to start today so I can finish the last 5 days of Ramadan in a very strong way, right? Or get something out of it versus, or I can make a choice by saying, well, I messed it all up. Let me just sit back home and do nothing, right? So we have that choice. And the key component to this whole thing is for us to make an effort to find the positive things in every situation. So that's our number one. Number two, gratitude. Always be grateful. I think it's impossible to feel depressed, or to feel stressed, or to feel down, or to feel low if you start to pay attention to how many things that you are grateful for. Right, and we tend to take this for granted. We a lot of times we beat ourselves up so hard, and we just talk negative to ourselves that things are not working out for us. We're not getting the things that we want. We're now moving forward in life. I'm not getting the job that I want. I'm not getting the internship that I want. I'm not motivated. I can't lose weight. I can't read Quran. I don't understand. And we have all these different things that we can, in our minds that we can, create, to put us down. But if you take a step back, and this is an exercise that I do on daily basis, alhamdulillah, have a notebook, right? Just a simple notebook. It could be just something as simple as just a regular notebook, and make it a habit on daily basis. Maybe the time you wake up, or maybe the time that you're ready to go to bed, by writing something called the gratitude journal. 3 or 4 different things that you're grateful for. Simple. And it could be things as, I'm grateful that I was able to pray that extra. I'm grateful that I'm able to hang out with my friends this time. I'm grateful that I'm able to finish my homework. I'm grateful that I'm able to, to get the job, to study for the exam, to read, to do things, to hang out with my family, to be and the key to this whole thing is, not to just to add some more excitement into this exercise. Push yourself so you're not doing the same thing over and over again. So sometimes I say you'll start by saying, I'm grateful for my family. Great. This is great. The next day, maybe get a little bit more deeper into that. What are you grateful for? Well, I'm grateful that I have my mom around. I have my dad around. I'm grateful that my parents made dua for me. I'm great. Start to pay attention to the small things. And then if you find yourself getting stuck, right? Let's say you start to, and typically I do it first thing in the morning, and it's for the night before. So I go in, trying to reflect back on how my night was, write all my gratitude statements. And then if I find myself not getting those 3 or 4 things on a daily basis, I start to pay attention to my life, my whole entire day, right? How am I doing, right? Let's say, I'm supposed to get on this call, and and electricity got cut off or something like that, but then something else happened, right? Let's pay attention to that. My neighbor came in and knocked my door and gave me, iftar, for example. I'm grateful for that. You open up, you saw a homeless guy walking around and you gave him some money. Be grateful for that, getting that opportunity to do that. You're able to, the weather is nice outside. You start to go outside and start to play some, soccer or basketball, hang out with your friends, more, instead of being home, and just, stuck in the house. So start to pay attention to everything that's great in your life. And that will help you just to start putting you in that positive mindset. So your homework today is to, find a notebook. If you don't have one, order one. If you can't order one, talk to your parents about getting one. Or if you, and for me, I like to write it versus type it on my phone or my computer. The thing is, because we find a lot of people that are very fast as far as when they type, but they don't, let's say, write 1,000 words a minute or 60 words a minute, right? So it will force you to sit there and emphasize what you're thinking into a piece of paper. And from a journal perspective, you can always go back and you can always see how the day looked like by you writing those gratitude statements. And this is something that I think, if you do it consistently, start to see some positive, momentum in your life. Encourage other people to do it. Encourage your friends, encourage your, your little brothers and sisters, all the brothers and sisters, your parents, whoever that is. Encourage them to do the same thing. And maybe something that, as a family, you guys can do together, at night when you guys come together, say for dinner or whatever. You can just sit down together and talk about the great, just the gratitude statement that you wrote down throughout the day. What are some things to be grateful for, as a family? And to be honest with you, I think you do it consistent and you start to see, like when you start having more than one person doing it with you, that's where that accountability partner will come in handy, and it becomes a lot easier for you to emphasize and talk about it. Right. So let's say, you have, you say your mom or your dad or your little brother or bigger sister, whoever that is working with you. Maybe that will be the day when you're not feeling, like right away they can remind you, hey, get up and did you write in your gratitude journal today? Right. And to get that extra, motivation and extra positive boost that you might need so you can continue to move forward. So we talked about the number one is making an effort and having that intention and making an effort to find positivity in everything you do in life. Number two, we talked about always being grateful. And the homework we talked about is identifying or buying maybe a notebook and start to create and write this gratitude journal and keeping the gratitude journal so you can start to pay attention to the positive things that's happening in your life. 3, create a positive environment. And this is again that goes into, like who are the people that you surround yourself with? We're talking about, friends and, classmates, your teammates, your family members, this is another thing that, I wanted to just put it out there. The individual that you surround yourself with dictate the level of happiness and positivity that you bring into your day. Let's say you're hanging out with individuals that are very negative. All they do is just talk bad about what's happening with them. What's complaining about life in so many different ways. Guess what's going to happen to you? You become just like them. You're going to start to complain about life. But then you surround yourself with individuals that are more positive. They look at things from a different perspective. All they're talking about is the positive thing that they see in life. Guess what happens? You start to find yourself becoming positive. Proximity is power. And I would like for you guys to write this down. Proximity is power. The individuals that you surround yourself with dictate the level of success and positivity that you find yourself going through. So, and again, that's also a choice, right? You have a choice to be selective as far as the friends that you hang out with. If people are just bringing so much negativity into your contact, with this whole COVID-19 being at home, some of you, negative friends and some of that negative, classmates and things like that, if they, you can choose to not to respond, to not interact, to not follow through with that. And with that, you start to open up some positive avenues to identify new people that you can actually spend more time with, virtually or in person, inshallah, after all this COVID things, slow down a little bit. So identifying those positive role models in your life and positive individuals around you that you want to surround yourself with, and then you push forward to spend a lot more time with. There's a saying, I think it's the 3 to 5 people that you spend most of your day with, like dictate the level of success and the level of positivity, the level of happiness that you find in life. So one thing that I'll ask you guys to do is for you to write down, and right now while I'm talking to you, you probably have identified certain people in your mind that you consider your friends, your extended family members, your family members, individuals around you. And I want you to think about 3 to 5 people that you spend a lot of your time with, even if it's online, virtually, playing video games. And I want you to write their names down, right? And then I want you to evaluate, how positive are these individuals? How happy these guys are, how excited, these guys are about everything that's happening, how, motivated and positive and a role model of those individuals are. If you find yourself not answering, having a struggle to answer that question, or you're not able to answer that question at all, and you find like these guys have been very negative individuals, I think this is a choice that you can make. And how we talked about life is just a bunch of choices. You are able to make that decision as far as going through and canceling some of these relationships. Parents, this is another thing. Some people and some of the young, kids that I work with would tell me, or young youth that I work with, they would tell me like, well, my parents are very negative. That all they do is just becoming very negative and all the time. So with this, I think open up that channel of communication. And this is something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, as far as, spending the time to, and this COVID thing forced a lot of us to stay home. So spend the time and spend that investment to talk to your kids and for, and be able and open to take some of that critique, to take some of that feedback from your youth at some point. If they feel that all you do is, being negative. And as parents, if you recognize and if you do identify and acknowledge that you are being negative, and all you do is just all this negativity, think about like the impact that you're making on your kids and your children and all those youth that they're going through. So one thing that you need to do, take a step back, evaluate that, accept responsibility, and then start to change the way you look at things. Because kids and youth mimic what their parents are doing, right? So if you are coming in here and you are staying strong and you are positive about things and you are looking forward for life and you are looking forward to after this COVID thing and you are looking at this life from a positive perspective, that's what your kids will do. And if you are very negative, beating yourself up, blaming and complaining and all these different things, that's what your kids will start to do. So you, as parents, you need to lead by example. As youth and as a young thing, individuals, I want you to start to evaluate those individuals that you surround yourself with, and at some point have that transparency to go in and speak. You might communicate with your parents, very respectful. You don't have to be, angry or just. You just need to be very respectful and open up that line of communication. Hey, mom and dad. Hey, brother, sister. Hey, those individuals. I know this is a tough time. But guess what? We need to stay positive. We need to start looking at things from a different perspective. We need to work together so we can move forward together, right? So it becomes that responsibility on you. Because a lot of times what I see with a lot of the youth that I work with, not a lot, just majority of some youth that I work with, they accept that fact. They accept the fact that the parents are negative or older brother and sister just put them in a very tough situation. And what they start to do, they start to go out somewhere else. They go to the streets, they go out and hang out with a negative individual. They start to go look for it somewhere else. And as a community, this is something that we want to change. So what we want to do, we want to bring those youth together. So advice for the parents, please take a step back. This is the last 10 days of Ramadan. So please reflect back on your behaviors, on how are you looking at life? And don't take it personal. If you realize that you're not doing what you were supposed to be doing, or you don't know how to react or how to act, or how to be positive, seek help. Ask. We have a beautiful community that's supportive and they're supporting one another. I saw that. Majid was there yesterday. Giving a lecture. That's one of those individuals that you can actually reach out to. Pick his brain and talk to him about different different entities and different places in the community that can help bring this whole thing together. Seek counseling, seek therapy if that's the case. That will help you improve that relationship with your children so you can lead by example. And for the youth, as I mentioned, evaluate the people that you surround yourself with. And the same thing for the parents. Evaluate the individual that you surround yourself with. If you realize that the people that you hang out with and that you surround yourself with are also negative and they're not just bringing you down or complainers, make choices and make decisions to put you and your family and your youth first. And that's what we talked about, surrounding, creating that positive environment around you. Number 4, exercise more. And this is one of those things. I think there's a study that I read by the University of Toronto. I think they found the more physical activities, I think it will help fight depression and anxiety and things like that. And there's a beautiful article that I can share with the team after this. But just being in the mental health field for such a long time, this is one of those things that I typically ask all my clients that go through depression and anxiety and just feeling down. It's like, just get out, exercise more. There's a saying so that when you find yourself feeling a certain way, like this, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, so negative, that's a state that you're in, right? And we typically change and control the state that we're in by changing 3 different things, right? Number 1, by changing our physiology. And that's exercising, getting up. And there's a hadith by the Prophet ﷺ. I don't know the exact hadith, but basically, if you're angry, I'm just going to try my translation into it. If you're angry, for example, and you're standing up, sit. And if you're sitting, lay down. If you're laying down, so just changing that physiology of what you do, right? So, and that goes the same, to all of us. If you find yourself feeling just depressed, angry, or anxious, or just negative, and you're sitting down, stand up. Trying to exercise, go on a walk. And sometimes you'll say to me, well, I'm not even I don't even feel like going on a walk or exercise. I'm just feeling down. Perfect. Guess one thing you can do, actually, go in and pray a couple of rak'ahs. That will change your physiology because you're standing up, you make a ruku', you're making sujood, you're going down, you're going up. That's that physiology. That's the change in physiology that we're talking about. So if you're standing, sitting, if you're sitting, lay down, if you're laying down, get up, jump. That's one of those exercises that I tend to do a lot. Doing meetings, doing workshops, just like where I'm sitting down and I'm having a conversation, I'm having a workshop, and then all of a sudden I feel my energy is dropping or I'm feeling tired. I just stand up. Changing my physiology a little bit help tremendously in changing your state. In this sense, we talk about exercise, set that up on your schedule on a daily basis, and you see, when we think about exercise, we're not talking about going to the gym, for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours a day. Again, this is something that if you're able to do it, go for it. But are we talking about just maybe taking a walk for 10 minutes outside? That's going to change your mood. And now the weather, alhamdulillah, is getting better and better and better. So making that a habit, taking a walk for 10 minutes, maybe before iftar, maybe after iftar. You can do it with, with your family. You can do it by yourself. You can do it with your siblings. I mean, just to get out and exercise. Some individuals say, well, Ramadan is here, and I'm not able to exercise. One of the biggest advice, and I think I spoke with a couple guys that are into that personal training thing, that they will say, maybe just exercise and work out, like literally about 15 to 20 minutes before the iftar. Play it out, play your basketball, take your jog, play that soccer, 30 minutes before the iftar. Get that energy out of the way, and then you go in, you get thirsty, you go out there, you make your iftar, and you go through with it. Some people exercise after. This is a habit that we do in our household. We take walks after iftar, just, between, Maghrib and Isha. As a family, we walk around the neighborhood. I mean, it's safe. I mean, it's not, it's not like, we stay safe at, at distance, following through the guidelines as far as the COVID-19, but we're still taking out the walks. We bond as a family. We ahbum some of the food that we eat, to digest some of the food that we're eating. And it's a good exercise to bond us all together. So that's one point, as far as that exercise, which is that physiology. I'm going to talk about the other two to change your state, and we got to keep moving forward. The second thing to do to change your state is to change your language. Is how are you talking to yourself? If you're feeling down and things like that, and all you keep telling about, like, oh, I'm depressed, and I'm sad, and I don't know, and I can't do it, and I'm tired, and I'm terrible, and I can't get things right. I mean, changing that language help you tremendously. Oh, this is impossible for me to do it. Versus, well, maybe I'll try it a different way, right? So being gentle with yourself as far as the language that you use will help you stay and maintain that proper state to be positive, to continue to be positive. So again, self-love, and this is something that I think maybe that the organizer, will help me. I'd love to come back and do a quick workshop specifically on that self-love concept of things, because I think it's a critical thing for us to build that confidence and that self-esteem, and and build up who we truly are. And I know it ties in with the identity, but I think just to push it a little bit further. So being gentle with yourself and what you tell yourself. Let's say you have your phone, you drop your phone, you shatter your screen, right? Right away, you can get upset, beat yourself up, call yourself names, and just get upset, start cursing and doing all these different things. But remember, is that going to fix your phone? It's not, right? Versus everything happened for a reason. You know what? I broke the phone. Maybe it's time for me to get a new one. Or you know what? Maybe I need to be careful a little bit more time. You know what? Guess what? This is, like I went through this. I take full responsibility. I'm not going to buy a new phone until I get my acts together. So it's really how you speak to yourself. So changing your language will definitely change your state, and that will help you to become and stay and maintain your positivity. The third one is changing your focus. That's another thing to change your state, right? If you are, like, let's say, like you're having a bad day and you're laying down in bed and just being so negative and just beating yourself up, and just all you're thinking about is just that one thing that happened to you that led you to be where you at, and you're so upset and you're so angry and you're so depressed and you're so anxious. Changing that focus a little bit will help you transition that. And that's why exercise is very critical. If you're sitting down and saying in a room and being all like, just being like, just all you do is just negative thinking, getting up, exercise, taking yourself on a walk, and changing that thought process a little bit will help you stay and maintain that positivity. And just one cool thing to talk about this is when we talk about the prayer, actually prayer is do all three for you. If we talk about the physiology, that's the, standing up, the ruku', the sujood, that getting up and down, right? You think about changing the language. If you are negative and think about, when you start to pray, there is a specific Quran verse that you read, right? So you're changing your language from being negative into more reciting those Quran, those verses to do the prayers. And then you focus. When you do your prayers, you focus specifically is to how do I enhance that? How do I build that connection? And you're doing that, so hopefully you're not thinking about all these different things, because you're changing your focus into being in the moment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making that prayer. So one of the just advice for all of you guys, if you find yourself in that state where you're angry and depressed, and and to stay positive and to stay, bring back your state, exercise is great. But I think praying couple rak'ahs will be definitely do you a lot more, to be honest with you. Another thing, I think number four at this point, we're talking about, treasure. I mean, loving the experience, like loving the process, not the end result. That will bring a lot of joy and staying positive, because this is one of those things that I think we're programmed to do. We're so focused on the end result. Like we're so focused, working so hard to get to that end result. And then we tend to not enjoy the process. Individuals say, you know what, and this is something that I want to be honest with you. Like people say, well, I want to get a job that I don't like the job, but I want to make sure that I get paid the money that I'm making. I'm like, well, but again, I would like to challenge that a little bit. I get it. That's the circumstances, but maybe shifting that a little bit. Maybe find something that you are enjoying and that you are happy doing and you are positively about and you're impacting, fulfilling your needs and wants and your core values and the things that you stand by, and you'll find yourself become a lot more happier, because the end result is like to get, like it's you're not so focused on the end result, you're focused on the process, so just going through with just do the things that may bring you joy and get excited about those things versus the end result. People talk to me about, like coaching, right? When I started this company, a few years ago, and the concept of like, what, why, what brings you joy the most? And I always talked about the process, going through the process and talking to the youth or talking to the adults and talking to those businessmen, talking about individuals that were struggling with relationships and things like that. I'm going through the process to see that step-by-step process where people are making changes and progressing. For me, that's a lot more cherishable versus the end result, which is, because at some point, like once you reach a certain point of that end result, you start to set up another end result and then another end result, and then you find yourself just going through this cycle. So going through this process and enjoying what you're doing, treasuring the experience more the end result, that will help bring this joy and happiness and keep you motivated. If, for example, all your passion is about helping people and you want to be, let's say, a teacher, because this is what you want to do in life, helping these young youth learn certain things and do things in life, imagine how excited are you coming to work every day, preparing for this thing, talking to your kids and process things with them and help them achieve. And then when they achieve certain things in life, just that excitement, the joy that you find yourself versus, let's say you want to be a teacher for some reason, but then all of a sudden, like you're working at a gym, for example, right? Helping these kids, like it has nothing to do with kids. You work with a little bit more adults, and this is not your passion. That become like, okay, all right, you're doing it for the end result. Sometimes you're not, and then when you start to feel some of that pressure, that brings a lot of anxiety, that brings a lot of stress, that brings a lot of negativity into your life. And then your life become controlled by that. So I think thinking and treasuring the process more than the end result. Do the things that excite you and do the things that bring you joy and go through with that, and you will become successful at what you do. So that's I think that was a number 5. Number 6, and this is exciting, and I think this is something that we can actually start to emphasize and do more of, is helping others. Helping others, bringing so much joy into what we do and help us stay and maintain positivity. And so subhanAllah, this is something that, our parents trying to engrave in us since, just, young kids, by setting up those chores and, putting the structure and like, push us to do things, but I think sometimes because of the approach, that's why our youth like don't want to follow through, they don't want to do what they need to do. But once you start to understand the importance of helping others, and you start by helping the people around you within your household, following through, helping each other, and helping, it doesn't have to be like, materialistic and doing certain things and doing certain tasks. It could be just being there for each other, and you start small within your own self, start to help, first of all, help yourself, and then you start helping the people around you, and then you start to build up into your, your friends and your communities, and then just take it, bigger. But I think where we start by helping the people that we surround ourselves with. This is one of those things that I think when I speak with a lot of parents, come to me and say, Abdulwahab, like my youth or my kids are more like, they're more involved with their friends. They'd rather go out there and help out their friends versus helping out around the house. Ask the kid to clean something and they won't do it. But then when he's at his friend's house, he's cleaning the dishes and doing all these different things. And I tell them it's all about their approach. It's how are we approaching our youth and how are we talking to them? If you explain to them, if your kids is all about helping others and going out there and, and do this, at some point, emphasize on that, reward him for that. Don't make that about like, if you don't do this, you don't go out. Like if you don't clean, for example, you don't clean the dishes today, you're not allowed to hang out with your friends. So right away in their minds, like, okay, all right, so there's two different extreme things, like parenting and different strategies as far as how we parent. There's a lot of different strategies as far as what we take away, but don't make like positive things, use positive things as punishments. One of those things like, like, oh, if you don't, and this is one of those things that I think when the parents talk to me about, oh, if he doesn't do his homework, he have to spend an additional hour reading the Quran and learning about the Quran. I'm like, what you're doing is you're pushing the kid away from loving the fact as far as going the process and learning about Quran. Because now all of a sudden it's in his mind or her mind is tied into punishment. If I don't do this, I'm going to go to Quran. Or if I don't do this, I'm not going to go hang out with my friends. Sure, I mean, I get it, but it's a concept of like, what, as a parent, what you start, what you're doing, emphasize and help them help others. Use that as a way to build that relationship where you have with your kids and continue to move forward. But helping others bring a lot of joy. And again, parents lead by example. So you made, let's say, we're in Ramadan, you made iftar for yourself, and then you want to go out there and give, for the community, for example. Don't keep your kid at home. Take your kid with you and go out there and give and distribute, right? So just leading by example. And this is one of those things that I think the kids, when they start to build that relationship with their parents, where they are involved in the process and they're helping each other. I mean, you bond, number one, with your parents and with those individuals in your life. And then the second thing, you bring that joy and that positive, and they give them something to look forward to. My 7-year-old, literally when we start to think about like, hey, we're going to go out there and just, pack lunches for, and then give it out to the homeless shelter. Really, he gets so excited about the process. We do it once. Now, every weekend, he wants to do it again, right? That's that joy. That's that positivity that I'm talking about. This is just one example, right? And it doesn't have to be that big of, like, hey, like go out there and spend a lot of money and doing all these different things. I'm not talking about that. Giving, just walking around and, and smiling. Wallahi, one of those things that stuck with me is doing Jum'ah prayer one time before this whole COVID situation happened. I remember seeing a dad and his kid coming into the masjid, and then the dad held the door for the musallin, for some of the people to walk in. And his kid, I think it was like a 5 to 6 year old, that was just staring at his dad. So he asked his dad what kind of help, and dad said, yeah, go for it. So the kid held the door for a little bit, and the dad looked at him. He said, are you going to be okay here? He's like, yeah. So dad went upstairs to pray. It was Jum'ah. And then the kid stayed downstairs, just literally holding the door for every person that walked through that door. And I went up there and talked to him. I was like, yo, this is cool. He's like, yeah, I mean, this is awesome, And my dad said to me that I'm getting as much hasanat as he does because I'm helping other people. Wallahi, that struck home. I got so excited about this thing. And I said to him, you know what? You're absolutely right. After the prayer came, down, I talked to the dad and I said, kudos, take my hat off for you. And I truly appreciate what you do, because what you do is just engraving in these kids that helping other and that excitement. SubhanAllah, for probably the 3 or 4 Jum'ahs after that, that's one thing that they did. They came in early, they held him and his dad, they'll hold the door for people, let the Muslim go inside, and then they'll go with them, go pray, and then come back downstairs after, hold on the door, allow people to come out. And it's just that simple exercise as far as teaching and engraving and empowering these youth to help others. This is something that's I think that's something that will stay for life, right? We in the last 10 days of Ramadan. This is the time of giving, right? We talk about charities, we talk about all these different things. And like I said, it doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be things, but it could be volunteering and helping, staying safe and all these different things, but leading by example. Weekends, I think we have one more weekend. I think this is the last weekend before Eid, inshallah. So, I mean, make a conscious decision this week. You have about, 5 days or something like that, literally look into your planner with your kids and try to identify certain time throughout the day to give, to volunteer. And like I said, it doesn't have to be money. It could be just time. It could be, like going out there, cleaning your neighbor's porch, like going out there, just giving something to your Muslim or non-Muslim friends, going out there and just impacting and asking people how are they doing. Just literally helping other, engraving that, leading by example, that brings a lot of positivity, joy, and happiness to everyone we go through. Number 7, go outdoors. And this is something that I think, especially in these times. I mean, we're stuck in a house for the past 2 or 3 months. I mean, a lot of us, again, the kids, just think about that. Kids used to be in school for 8 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week throughout. But now they've been the past 2 months or so, they're home. they're stuck at home, right? I mean, again, I know we following these regulations as far as being safe. The weather is getting nicer. Identify time throughout the day where you guys are going out on walks. Going to one of the things that we did last weekend, we actually drove from here, to Leesburg. There's a place called Goose Creek. It's like a landing. So we went in. No one was there. Literally, no one was there. So we got in there around, like, I think 4 or 5 o'clock. It was me, my wife, my kids. Parked the car, and we took a walk. It was the river, the water, the trees, just the air. There's a couple places the kids were just running around. We stayed there for about 45 minutes, got back on the car and drove back home. So identify those different areas where you are outdoor, and it doesn't take, it doesn't cost any money. It doesn't, just that, the guys, whatever. So just don't even think about it from that sense. Be outside, that will help bring positivity, and that will help bring joy, and that will help bring energy. Think about that. Your kids are home. I mean, all the time. They're eating, mashallah, right now, Ramadan, they're drinking all these, sweets and all these juices in the night. I mean, so they have a lot of energy in them. So get them out. Take walks. Let them just go in the field and let them just run around wild. You don't have to interact with other people. Just give them that outdoor experience, especially in this time, right? Alhamdulillah, we have summer coming up. So for the next 4 or 5 months, we have an ability to create momentum, and we have the ability to start to create some structure to give our kids that opportunity to be out doing what they want to do. Play the soccer, like hang out, and like I say, it doesn't have to be with other people. It could just be start as a family, going out there, find it just an area where there's no one in there. Have a soccer ball, have a basketball, and just start to play. Afterwards, wash your hands, use your hand sanitizers, do what you need to do, and then just go back home. But spend that time outdoors. That will bring a lot of happiness and a lot of positivity into what you do. 8, get enough sleep. This is something that I really want to spend a lot of time speaking about. There's a lot of studies, that talked about 6 to 8 hours of sleep is just the healthiest way of again, to maintain, to continue to be positive, continue to have that healthy lifestyle. You are expected to sleep between 6 to 8 hours. I really want to be very careful, right? I mean, we had the last 10 days of Ramadan, again, people are pushing through. I mean, some people are not sleeping the 6 hours. It's for a reason. We have 5 days and 5 to 6 days, inshallah, left. We're spending additional time to pray and things like that. After those 5 days, inshallah, and you're over Eid and things like that, we're getting back into some type of rhythm, some type of routine. It's your responsibility to sit down and process and set the expectation as far as how are we allocating 6 to 8 hours of sleep. That goes in with structure. That goes in with discipline. As a youth, I mean, again, this is one thing that I really want to make sure that you get. The concept of you're staying up to 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and then sleeping all day long, 10, 15, 12, 13 hours days, it's not appropriate. And that will just, you wake up very tired, very exhausted, your days are, just all mixed up. You're just so tired. By the time your parents are going to sleep or your family and friends are going to sleep, you're still out. I mean, you just mess up your whole entire momentum. So planners, going back into our planners, write down your schedule, stay positive, stay active, do certain things, break it down. What time you go to bed? I go to bed at, say, 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. Perfect. What time do I wake up? Wake up, say 6, 7 o'clock, wake up for Fajr, and then get that momentum moving. Have things to do, especially summer is coming up. Like I said, it's a different summer than every year. Like we have, I think 3 more weeks, I think, in school, and then we get back into that summer thing. So get back into this whole concept of all right, waking up early, getting things, eating breakfast with the family. I mean, some parents do work from home, so there's a lot of time together. Set that schedule up, wake up early, take your shower, take your walk, come back in, eat breakfast, do some studying, do some reading, work on that podcast that you're working on, read some books, play your video games for an hour or two, watch that TV, take yourself another walk, have lunch, come back in there, exercise, spend time with the family, spend time with the extended family. It's really structuring your day where you are giving yourself those 6 to 8 hours of sleep. But the key to this whole thing is 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night. At night, like, don't have your day all mixed up where you're sleeping all day and then you're up all night. I mean, that's not how it works. I mean, you want to get back into this productivity thing. You want to stay positive. You want to feel that energy. So you got to get disciplined and you got to stay, structured in that sense. So getting enough sleep is one of those things. Some people, do take some naps throughout the day. They do their 60 hours of sleep, and then, like they say, 3 o'clock, take a 15 minutes nap or maybe an hour nap or something like that. If this is what works for you to keep you recharged and keep you positive and keep you excited, go for it. But it is critical for you to have enough sleep. Parents, if you feel your kids are sleeping more than 10 hours a day, every single day, seek help. Really seek help. And if you see your kids sleeping for less than 6 hours a day, every day, seek help. Again, like this anxiety and stress, if it's untreated, it goes into some depression. And if the depression doesn't get treated, it leads into some other things that we want to avoid. So please be conscious, and please be, just be observant, and please have the communication. Please talk to the kids. Please, if you don't, and one of the common things that they all talk about, we're bored. I get it. So it's our responsibilities as parents to work and identify certain things to keep these guys busy. And like I said, it doesn't have to take much. It doesn't have to be everything that we have to put them in camps that we can't afford, especially with this financial situation. It could be the simplest things. Lead by example. Take this 1 hour, take this 1 hour of walk, play that video games with them. Set up, some game nights where you're sitting down and playing cards and playing, like chess or playing checkers or whatever that is. But allocate that time and then take the step forward. Lead by example. Have the conversation with the kids, and then make sure that if you go to bed by let's say by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, go to bed at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. Set the stage. And for you as young youth and things like that, if you have brothers and siblings and younger kids around you, lead by example. If you're having a problem, if you have issues sleeping, communicate that. And that takes us to our number 8, which is express your feelings. If you feel anxious, so many things are happening. We have a lot of our youth are hurting. They're not able to express their feelings. They're not able to talk about what they're going through and things like that. Stop the momentum and start to talk about it. This is a taboo in our community. I really want to make sure that I address that. A lot of us, we don't take mental health seriously. We don't take, kids expressing their emotions seriously. A lot of us do, but a lot of us also don't. So keep that in mind. If your kid comes to you and say, Mom and Dad, older brother, older sister, uncle, aunt, aunties, I'm going through this thing and I'm feeling stressed and I'm feeling this and I'm feeling overwhelmed, don't discourage that. Relax, encourage them to talk more. Relax, go find additional help if you're not able to do it. Do not ever just dismiss their feelings. And for our youth and for our young kids, please express those feelings. There's a lot of things happening around us, and we don't have to go through it alone. And this is one of those things that I'm still baffled. We have one of my clients, they just lost his grandma who lived with them for the past, I think it's past 10 years. So she's part of the family and just passed away a couple of weeks ago. SubhanAllah, virtually went in and, Shin al-Fatiha and all these different things. But one of those things that I'm talking to the client, how are you doing? And he said, that was after 2 weeks. He said, Abdul Wahab, SubhanAllah, you're the first person to ask me how am I doing in 2 weeks. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, we don't talk about it. We all got, my mom's sad, she's crying, but she's not talking about it. My dad is upset, he moved on, he's not talking about it. And all of us that lived in the house, him and his siblings, no one's talking about it. So my first question was how are you doing? And the kids started crying. And we stopped, I think it was a 3-hour session where this kid expressing everything that he's going through. And all I did was just listen. As parents, I know some of you guys might say, well, I'm not a therapist, I don't know how to deal with this thing. I get it. But I'm not just talking about grief, I'm talking about everything else. Have you sat down with your kids and have a conversation about this COVID situation? How is it impacting you guys and impacting them? We need to learn how to express our feelings. And if you don't know how to do it, seek help. Please seek help. Reach out. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of good therapists out there that are able to help. And a lot of these guys, actually, your insurance can actually cover a lot of it. So but what you're doing is you're making that investment to help you. And youth, please, kids, please express your feeling. Have that, that courage to go out there and to your parents and let them know how you feel. Because by the way, our youth and our kids are paying attention to everything that's going on around you. So if you're home, if you're a dad, if you're a mom sitting home by yourself at night crying because you don't want to express that to anyone else, these kids they will be paying attention to that. And if you're not communicating with them, they're internalizing what's going on around them. So that ability to express our feelings. And I think for our parents, creating that environment for them to come out and speak about what they're going through is the key to stay positive and stay healthy and stay maintaining that and emphasize on that relationship, right? I think number 9, reduce your worries. We worry too much. And worries, I mean, worrying is it's one of those things that I think right now I think it's one of those things that destroy our our thinking. The uncertainty, the unknown, that fear is out there. And this is something I think inshallah, I'm going to be doing a workshop very, very soon on fear specifically. There's like 1,000 different type of fears: fear of failure, fear of being alone, fear of loss, fear of just so many different, fear of being exposed, fear of expressing fear in our emotions, fear of success. Our kids they go through that, all these worries and things like that. So I think it's like we need to find different ways to reduce these worries. A lot of us, like take fear and they just dismiss it and not talk about it. La, relax. We want to go back into what we talked about earlier, is expressing our feelings. As parents, I know a lot of times, like we put, and this is culture, a lot of us, we want to step in and want to make sure we let these kids know that everything's under control. We got this. But when our kids get old enough, I think having these dialogue with them will help tremendously. Because for them, that uncertainty, that unknown, seeing dad is stressed out, seeing mom that's stressed out, seeing mom having a heart attack, seeing dad having a stroke. And these are some extreme things, but these are real things happening with some of my clients. Then go to the hospital, and the first thing that comes up, oh, you're just too stressed. What do you think the kids are going through, right? Fear of unknown, they don't understand what's going on. They're so worried. They see their parents going through things. They're going through things, but we never talk about it. So finding different ways to reduce those worries. One of the awesome exercises that we can do is go back into that planner, write things down, your ability to express your feelings and reducing worries. Because a lot of times, like these worries, when we write it down, we start to look at it from a perspective of we have a choice to make. At some point, we're able to overcome a lot of it. But as I mentioned, the buck doesn't stop here. If you're not able and capable and find out, seek help. Reach out to a professional if that's how you feel like you need to go through this. Same exact thing. As parents, you're not alone. We are a community, and this is something to be proud of. Reach out. There's a lot of different programs that are designed out there to help, not just financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, in so many different ways. But if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So reach out and ask, and ask for help. Number 9, accept and find solutions. A lot of people don't like to accept change in life. And this is a problem, to be honest with you. We must accept that there are things that there's some things that are out of our control, but we can control what we can. So accept change as a part of what we go through. And we need to learn how to, at some point, once we accept it, and then start to become more methodical by finding solutions to it. Right? So think about, if a year ago, even like 6 months ago, if I would have asked you that you'll be home, not going to school every single day, and do a lot more of just being home, doing some virtual schoolwork, and there's some people in some counties that it's not even working out for them. Like at some point, just being home, you can't go to the grocery store without putting gloves on, or you're not allowed to hang out with friends. You can't even go hang out with some of the family. You can't travel. If I would have told you that 6 months ago, what would the answer would be? I'd be crazy. But that doesn't make any sense. No way. What happened in the past 3 or 4 months that we're forced to change. Now we look at things from a different perspective. Now we're home more, we're spending more time with the family. Now we're going through with with the schooling. Now we adapted to some virtual thing. Now we're asking questions. Now we adapted to finding jobs online. Now we adapted to run these meetings from home. Look at this meeting today, virtually. All of you guys all over the world actually watching, tuning in from your house. If this whole situation wasn't there, maybe we'll be somewhere in some type of office, in some type of space that we're just giving that same presentation. Things changed, but we adapted. Life never stopped at a certain point. Life will move on. So we need to start to look at things from this perspective. There is change. There is a situation that we have no control of. We have to learn to adapt to these, situations, and continue to find solutions to keep moving forward. And remember, we have a choice to make. So being happy is a choice. Staying positive is a choice. And the best part about this whole thing is we have a choice to make, and we are in control of those choices that we're making in life. Any questions?
Thank you so much, AB. I just have one question. It's not, I would like you to explain it a little bit more for us. It's just a lot of Arab/Sudanese parents don't really believe in therapy and seeking outside help. Do you have, and they mainly, suggest that the Quran has all the answers, and, just read the Quran, it will help. So what's your take on that? What's your advice to the parents?
Look, that's a very good thing. But when you start to think about, and I'm just going to take it back a step back. When you think about our Prophet ﷺ, let's take it back to the Prophet ﷺ. One of the things that the Prophet ﷺ did well, our Prophet was a therapist. Our Prophet understood people, and he was able. So even with the Sahaba around him, one thing that they consistently did when they had issues, so when they had marital issues with their spouses, when they had problem with their kids, when they were just worried about different things, what did they do? They went straight to the Prophet and they asked for help, and he was able to guide them, right? So are we better than them, right? We're not. So when you think about it culturally, and this is, you're absolutely right, it's a taboo. But this is the problem. And to be honest with you guys, as parents, we know this is a problem. Deep inside in our heart, we understand there is a problem with our children. Like, if the children is acting in certain ways and no respect, disrespectful, breaking things, running away, getting involved with just, not motivated, so depressed, beating himself up, having some marital issues. We as parents, we understand that there's a problem, and we have a choice to make. We can either go out there to help, or we can just avoid the problem. But avoiding the problem will never, you'll never get a positive outlet or outcome from just avoiding the problem. We have to deal with it, right? So the concept of start to think about it from, and you're absolutely right, this is a taboo situation in our culture. But it's on us to stop that momentum, to stop that buck, and start to recreate. And I remember when I graduated as a therapist 13 years ago, actually, I was, subhanAllah, maybe one of the only male Sudanese therapists in my area. And it was one of the hardest things to do, is to break through into our Sudanese community. And a lot of times, and I want to be 100% honest, transparent with you, some people embraced it because they just had enough. And some people just denied it. No, there's nothing wrong with this. And some people, you absolutely just blamed it on jinn, sihr, amal, something happened, let's go back into the Quran and start doing some of these different things. Great. I'm not saying the Quran won't help. Bil'aks, Quran will definitely help. But it's not just the Quran. It's the Quran and then doing things. Aqidha wa tawakkal. Right? So when you get sick, like let's say you get sick, you get terminally ill, right? You get, not terminally ill, like you get someone, you get really sick. Let's say the coronavirus. When you get things, what is the first thing that you'll do? You'll go to a doctor. You can't just sit back home and say, all right, well, let me just sit back home and I'm sure. You can definitely do that. But there's a knowledge. If you get, let's say you get the cold, you need to go out there and buy medicine, right? So that same exact concept, mental illness is real. It happens, it exists, and it always happened, it always existed. And the way we deal with it, and al-hajat, the one we have culturally that other, like I said, non-Muslim communities don't have, is that we do have that belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gonna cure us, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gonna put that cure in that medicine, in that therapist, in that person, but without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not gonna happen. So what can we use both? We read the Quran, we make the du'as, and then put it to the professional. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it to work, it's gonna make that ilaj happen from that therapist's hands, or that pill that they're taking, or that medicine that they're taking, right? So it's not one over another, just like diet, for example. And that's a simple example. Like you were saying to me, I want to lose weight. It's not about just stop eating bad things. Sure, that's great. It's going to help. It's also about the exercise, that discipline, right? It's both that will help get you that lifestyle. It's the same exact thing culturally. That's the same exact things. Yes, we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Quran is fihi shifa, 100%. But you also need that additional help from the individuals out there that went to school for it, that they have the ability and they have the techniques. And sometimes it's not even about, it's not even about like this whole long life journey. Sometimes like a month or 2 months or 3 months of just proper therapists, you get some proper breakthroughs and things will change. So the question that I think it's as parents, it's your responsibility to find a solution, right? I mean, if you take it only that way, do both. Get the proper thing, get the therapist, and then make your dua. Read the Quran and make that and encourage them. Because guess what? Sometimes the kids will actually rather hear from someone else. I have clients that I work with, and the parents will say to me, Abdullah, I just told them to go pray, and they will never pray. But then I'll tell them, hey, why don't you just go pray a couple of rak'ahs, and they'll go out there and do it. Why? I don't have that magic touch or anything like that. But sometimes, our kids, that relationship that they have with their parents versus the relationship that they have with someone else, they might be able to accept advice for someone else. But the key to this whole thing is not to wait to that level, proactive. So the minute as a parent you recognize something is wrong, don't avoid it. Don't avoid it. If you're not a therapist, you don't know how to deal with it, it's okay. Reach out to someone that you can trust and you can have that. There's no judgment. No one is judging you. Mental health is one of those things. It's not about, it doesn't hit like a certain class, it doesn't hit a certain status, doesn't hurt a certain, that's not how it works. It's a thing that hits anyone. It's a disease that hits anyone. I'm not going to call it a disease, but that's what it is. It's an illness. But it doesn't mean like, okay, if you have ADHD or depression or anxiety, that this is it. This is a label that you'll have for the rest of your life. No. There's people with ADHD that got proper medication with proper things. They moved on in life. They learned the coping skills that they need to run this, and then they gradually start to off the medication, and they moved on in life. They're doing extremely well. Some of my clients currently, CEOs of companies, lawyers, doctors, surgeons, they were diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and things like that, and they're dealing with it. It doesn't limit you. Well, relax. It give you that boost. Once you accept that there is a problem, now we can focus on a solution. And by the way, guys, a lot of times these kids are more upset that their parents are not accepting the fact that they have a mental illness. And that adds another layer of hurt, disappointment, lack of trust with parents, lack of communication. So when we encourage them to talk, and this is actually happening. When I tell them, why don't you talk to your parents? My parents will not understand me. That will be the answer. Why? Because when they brought that up as an issue, it was denied, or it was just put away, or just didn't talk about it. The answer to this whole thing is do both. And this is what we have. I think this is what we're lucky as Muslim Ummah and Muslim community, that we have the Quran that we believe in. We believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He's a Shafi, and He will grant us that shifa. But we also need to go to the doctor. We also need to go to the therapist. We also need to go to the psychiatrist. We also need to go to the psychologist. And it's because at the end of the day, it's that commitment to improve and for us to do better. And it's not about what people think. It's not about what your neighbor thinks. It's not about how your family feels. It's not about that. It's about finding a solution to a problem, right? And if there's a problem. As a parent, we know. As a child, we know if there's a problem. If your kids start acting differently, there's a problem. But instead of ignoring the problem, let's deal with it. And like I said, sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to open it up because I don't know what am I expecting. And that's what I'm saying. We have great therapists in our neighborhoods. We have amazing therapists in this area. Muhammad Majid, like I said, you can go there and consult. You have amazing Sudanese. And this is another exciting thing. The reason why I shared that story of me being one of the first thing 13 years ago, I just attended graduation VCU last semester, last year actually, in May. I attended the graduation. We had about 39 young Sudanese therapists graduated that year. 39. This is not, if it's not a blessing, I don't even know what that is. This is amazing. That means our community are more accepting. Our communities are allowing their kids, and the kids are just thinking about this and taking those steps to become that, because we recognize as a community that this is something missing, and there's culture, just like misunderstanding or culture tab that's been created, by just culture that's there, it's existed. But again, this is our time for us to start to change that. So 39 last year, from 13 years ago, I was the only person to graduate with my class. So just thinking about that from that sense, we're making progress. So it's great education. If you don't know it, ask. I mean, from a parent's perspective, instead of being in denial, ask the question. Reach out to the people that know what they're doing and go online and ask. It doesn't hurt. There's no judgment. No one's judging you. No family judging. No one is judging you, because guess what? It doesn't matter. Anyhow, this is you. This is your family, and your job is to protect and to make sure that they're okay. This is what you do. If your kid break their arm, right? What would you do? Would you just sit home and say, all right, well, they broke their arm, let's read some Quran and it's going to fix itself? It will never fix itself. Sure, have that belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah, like without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not going to get fixed. Then take the steps. Pick them put them in a car, call the ambulance, go to the ER, get it fixed, put it in a cast, and then fix the arm. Same exact thing when it comes to therapy and things like that. Sure, Quran is there, the belief is there, the heart is there. We believe it, we understand it, but we have to believe and then also do. It's not just one or the other, it's both actually. Hopefully that answered it.
Thank you so much, AB. We have a comment on Facebook. It says, my parents don't believe I possibly have ADHD, and they think I'm using it as an excuse for my mediocre grade. They won't let me get officially diagnosed.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And wallahi, you're not the only one. I have tons of clients that saying the same exact thing. But one of those things, I think hopefully parents watch this thing. I think maybe one thing that you can definitely do is to send in to this specific recording, this specific session to them and say, hey, please watch this. It's real. It's not about, because guess what? The minute you start to find that solution, as far as, with ADHD, it's either coping or you can take some medication, but it's not the end of the world. But once you identify that, and then you start to think, because it's that chemical imbalances, once you get into that level and start to make some of these progress, things will become a lot easier from a focus perspective. But I think it's bigger than that. It's about that trust that we're building. So please, 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 parents, please listen. Just listen to what the kids are saying, to what the youth is saying to you. If he's coming to you or she's coming to you and saying, hey, I have ADHD, what's going on here? Get them tested. Get them tested. If they ruled it out, Hey, this is what it is. We went and got the testing and it's ruled out. Perfect. Let's now think about maybe something different. Maybe you don't need a therapist. Maybe you need a life coach, right? Or nope, if he's diagnosed, what do we need to do? If as parents don't believe in medication for whatever reason that is, there's other avenues. I promise you, there's a lot other strategies that can be used to help elevate down. But if you don't try it all, and then someone professional comes to you and say, we tried it all, and your kid tried it all, but it's still not working. Now maybe we can start to look into a medication option of it, right? But if you don't try, you will never know. So parents, please listen to these kids, and youth, please continue to express that. I take my hat off for you. You are brave, and you are going in there, and you are expressing, you are talking about it. Good job. Keep doing it. Hopefully that answered out.
Thank you so much, AB. Yes, it certainly did. We don't have any more questions.
No problem at all. I just wanted to put it out there for you guys. As I just mentioned, it's when we work with our kids and things and our youth, this is an investment on us, right? And subhanAllah, and we as parents, we look at things, and I know we all mean well as parents. We want to work so hard. We want to provide. We want to get the job. We want to get this extra hours. We want to get work. I know Sudanese families are working 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs to provide. I get it. Wallahi, I get it. But what your kids want is probably just that hug, that time that you spend with them. But you'll never know unless you ask. So please take that from today. And I think hopefully, each one of you guys will take a step into identifying and figuring out what you guys want to do. Because like I said, this is your own investment. You're taking care of your kids the proper way, right? I'm not saying that you're not doing it, but I'm saying you can always do better. Right, we'll never reach that point where we're just experts. There's always more. There's always more knowledge. There's always more things that we can do. And the way we know how to do it, by just accepting the fact that we need additional help, and just go out there, read about it, spend the time, invest in yourself and in your families. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all, to reach that level where we build within. Because that's how we start. We build within our own home, and then we go out there and build out into our community and take it to the next level. But we start within ourselves. as parents, as youth, as everyone, dig deeper into who you are truly, and why did you commit to this level? Why did you commit to having kids? For what reasons, right? Why did you commit? What is your role as a parent? And if you don't know it, ask. Wallahi, that's a simple, beautiful exercise. Ask the kids, what do you think my role as a parent look like? And get a new perspective. How do you think I'm doing as a parent? And don't take it personally. Never take it personally. Just get a perspective. They might say, Baba, you're doing, Mama, you're doing a good job. But if you do these things, maybe if you listen more, maybe if we spend some more time together, maybe if we do these different things together, maybe if you don't force me to do these things, maybe if, okay, right, take that as a feedback. You will take feedback if your boss comes to you and say, such and such, your performance at work, you're doing these different things, but here's how you correct it. You will take feedback and you will adjust so you can keep your job. Same exact things. You self-evaluate, identify how you're doing, and ask your kids about how you're doing. Simple. Again, it doesn't make you less. It doesn't take things away from you, but will actually strengthen that relationship. Hey kid, what do you think that I'm lacking? Wallahi, Baba or Mama, you know what, when I come to you and tell you that I have these different things, you just dismiss me. Okay, how can I improve? I don't know, but maybe just seeking some help from me. Right, go out there and seek help. Simple, right? Once we start to put our ego aside, things becomes completely different. So please, just take the time. 5 days of Ramadan, let's ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance. Let's ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to just allow us to accept the feedback and the criticism and take this envy and take this just ego out of our hearts, so we can continue to build those relationships. And it's okay. You can start today. It's never too late. And that's something that I talk to parents about. But I've been raising children for the past 30 years. It doesn't matter. Children are different timing. It requires different things. It requires different strategies. The same thing that you use for the older sister or older sibling might not work for the younger kid, because each child is unique on their own ways. And it's never too late to accept that and start to take some proper measure to help. But it goes back into the first thing that we talked about, the intentions. Do you want change? Do you want your kids to do better? Do you want to improve that relationship with your kids? Do you want to have that open line of communication between you and your kids? Or you don't? If you don't, that's a different answer. If you don't, genuinely you don't, this is something that I'll genuinely encourage you to connect with Imam Muhammad Majid and talk to him about. That this is how I feel. I don't feel like I need to give anything to anyone, and I feel like I'm okay. Maybe that's something, that conversation he'll have with you. But if you do, take it to the next step, please, and have the conversation, start dialogues, and self-reflect and do something about it. It's not about just knowing, it's about action. If you're committing to spending time with the kids to be happy, to be positive, do that. Don't just commit to it and never do it, because that's how you don't build trust anymore. Oh, I'm going to commit to taking you on these different walks, but then you never do. What are you teaching, right? We have to lead by example. So when we say something, we just have to follow through with it. So genuinely, as parents, dig deeper. Please, 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 as young youth, if you feel that your parents can benefit from this video, from this workshop, send that to them. Without even saying nothing, just say, hey, watch this. It's an hour, 15 minutes, hour, 30 minutes. Just please listen to this. Let them go through it. Let them watch it. And if they have questions, I know they'll have questions. They can reach out, to Sada. They can reach out to me. They can reach out to Mama Majid. They can reach out to you guys and have the conversation. I'd love to have the conversations. And it's not about proving anyone right or wrong. It's about investing on ourselves and investing on our youth and continue to build that relationship so we can build this community. Right? We built from within. So hopefully that answered that. But thank you so much, guys, for having me. If there's no questions, it's definitely a pleasure to be with you guys today and be able to share some of the things with you. I think, it's, as a community, it takes a village to work together and everyone just put in, and what you guys are doing, and subhanAllah, and definitely take my hat off for you. It's a beautiful initiative to bring people together, to bring our community together to tackle these tough, topics and with the end result, with that intention, so we can continue to grow as a ummah and as a community and as as Sudanese, something to be proud of. But thank you so much, guys, for what you do, genuinely.
AB.
Yes.
Yes. So there's a comment actually. Somebody said, and the comment says, "How do you fix the ignorance in that some kids may have, even after a parent, I guess, tries to approach them? How do we fix that?"
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, when you think about ignorance and you think about why kids rebel and why kids do what they do, there is some internal motives, to be honest with you, that led them to act a certain way. And it could be fear, it could be disappointment, it could be like life, lack of confidence, lack of whatever that is. But I think digging deeper into it as a parent, if you try so hard and you try to get into it, but then the kids still act in a certain way they do, I think seek some additional help and just, reach out to someone, have the conversation, have the dialogue, because it could be a lot more deeper than just what you're hearing. I'll share a story with you, and this is a true story. I have a client, very successful business guy, who's also a youth. He started a business, alhamdulillah, and he's doing extremely well. And all of a sudden, working on the strategies and the plan of what he needs to do. And there was this one thing I said, hey, how about you make this one call to this one particular person, ask for this specific thing, and we'll be okay. He said, no problem. And then the following session, how did you do? I did all these things. Did you call that person? No, I didn't. Okay. How about you do it again this week? Okay. Same thing. It happened for about 3 weeks or so. This guy never called. So and then every time, like, I'm gonna do it later, I'm gonna do it. So I was like, no. Let's sit down. Let's open this up. What's going on? Like, what is it about you making that phone call that's and it's preventing you from reaching that next level of your business, of your life? So subhanAllah, he got so quiet, and then we dug deeper into start to talk about what happened. And he brought me back, and he said to me, it's like, Abdulhab, when I was in first grade, just hear me out, right? He said, I was in first grade. It was Father's Day. And, we had this they're able to go out there and buy some few gifts for their parents. So he went in and he didn't have any money. So he borrowed $1 from a classmate at that point. He said, hey, can I borrow $1 so I can, can I get $1 so I can buy my dad something? So he bought his dad a card and a little eraser or something like that, put it in the bag, got excited, wrote on the card. He was like, I was so excited to go back home. I ran back home. I see my dad. I give him the card. The first reaction from the dad is he actually slapped him right in the face. And he told him, who did you steal this dollar from? Kid was shocked. So I didn't steal it. He was crying. My friend gave it to me. After a little bit, the dad looked at him and said, listen, never, ever, ever ask anyone for money. You need money, you ask me, you ask your mom, but you never ask anyone for it. And he made him, I think, return the dollar. The moral to the story is the intentions of the child, of whatever that he wanted to do, all he wanted to do is to put a smile on dad's face, because he thought this is what he wanted to celebrate that. And dad, he wanted to teach a kid a lesson where, hey, I don't need you to take money or borrow money from anyone. But the approach was wrong. That one incident, first grade, traumatized this kid. That stuck in his mind. Now, this kid is 30 some years old, making decisions, business decisions, but the concept of asking someone for help was just a major thing. He was like, I don't even know why. I just can't. I know it's simple. I can just pick up the phone and call, but he wasn't able to do it. Once we're able to overcome that one specific thing and put that behind us, and alhamdulillah, things start just to roll it. So when you think about kids being ignorant and disrespectful and mean and not following through after we try to approach and all these different things, sometimes it might be that relationship, it might be something that took place throughout, and it might not be directly directed to you as a parent, school, community, being bullied. Something happened in a way, throughout the way that put us into the position where the kid felt the need to act a certain way, right? There's a reaction to everything. There's a reaction to every action that we do. So you think about it from that sense. Into my advice to dad will be, if you feel you get to a level where you just feel like, yo, this is it, I cannot break into this kid is continuing to do what he does and still being ignorant and still doing all these different things, seek help. There's something deeper. And I think at this point, like you as a parent, and again, I don't know the circumstances, but I feel like, having a different perspective into what's going on might be able to have some type of breakthroughs into what's going on. And once you eliminate that and work that, because the kid might just need that time to work on whatever that is that he's working on or she's working on, once we identify that and get that, then start to work on repairing that relationship between the two of you guys, so you're able to get back in it and do what you need to do. So what I tell parents, I mean, there's like almost a lot of reasons. I mean, there's reasons to why children and youth do what they do. There's almost always a reason. I mean, it could be justifiable from the kid's perspective. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes it doesn't even make sense, but it's their own point of view, right? So this doesn't make it right or wrong. It makes it a perspective. So the way to deal with this whole thing is, like I said, try a different approach, have a different conversation. If it still doesn't work out, seek some additional help. And I think that might be, inshallah, it's going to work out that way.
All right. Thank you so much, Abi. That was just very helpful and inshallah beneficial to all the youth and the parents that are struggling with these issues. Just a side comment, this is regarding myself. Growing up, I mean, we did not have any conversations with my own parents, it was just, making sure we're good, we're doing good in school, and basically that's it. Nothing life lesson, like nothing, anything like that. I'm 27 right now, and I say that I connected with my parents probably right when I was about to finish undergrad. And right now, I can have subjects with them and topics with them that we can discuss. So I think this was very good. I mean, this is for my own self too, that I can be, for the future of my own kids. But jazakallah khair.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and thank you so much for sharing that. I think it takes a lot, and I think it started with just the dialogue. Yeah, I mean, you're not the only person. I mean, for me, to be honest with you, growing up, I mean, I have some very awesome parents, but one of the biggest, and they talk to us about a lot of different things, but our parents had an issue, I think, expressing their own feelings.
Exactly.
So it's like, we see mom upset, we see them having an argument, but then I'm like, hold on. And then as kids, we're like, hold on, is this like happening? Like, it's really confusing. And then once we start to ask the question, and I think having our parents take a step back and just to breathe, that, okay, you know what? No, it's okay for us to have a conversation. It's okay for us to have a dialogue. It's okay for us to start to rebuild. Yeah, subhanAllah, just like what you said, yeah, our relationship went from like 40% to like 120, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, but that's the thing, the common thing culturally, we have an amazing parents that are very strong. Like, I mean, but time changed. This is not a sign of strength at this point. I mean, at some point, we want you guys to communicate with us. We want you guys to be emotionally, because we have an amazing youth coming up that are emotional, that see so many things, that are exposed to so many different things, especially being in this country and especially going through this whole revolution, and then just open up their eyes and minds into so many different things. I mean, it's an amazing emotional process that we all go through with it. And all we want is just, I think, our parents just to be okay with sharing their emotion and allow us into the process. I think that's all we're asking for. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome. I think Aziza has an announcement that you want to make.
Thank you so much, Tibian. Thank you, AB. Jazakumullah khair. AB, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to give us this session. And thank you, Tibian, for joining us today. Inshallah, thank you. Inshallah, اليوم الساعة 9:30 مساء عندنا مدايح أكرم، أحمد المصطفى، وأدروب وعاصم. والأسبوع الجاي إن شاء الله العيد حيكون عندنا يوم مفتوح فيه مفاجآت كثيرة إن شاء الله. وكل عام وأنتم بخير، وشكرا لكم للحضور.
السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم.